Welcome back. It's 11 years.
Thank you.
And you, at the time, of July 6th, 2001. We don't transcribe many of our interviews, but yours we did as a guideline. And let me just verbally report to you that you said, list of all those who clerked for Jackson. There were 8 at the time. We interviewed all 8. Oral history with prosecutors, of which at the time there were 8. We found all 8. Not all here, but we had to run after to get those. Develop an interactive program, touchscreen presentation, which you saw there. Voice-activated presentation. I haven't quite got there yet.
By the way, significantly cheaper now than it was then.
That's probably why it wasn't done at the time.
No, significantly cheaper now.
A documentary, a 15, 18-minute film needs to be developed. We did a 12-minute one.
Better.
Museum storytelling units, you've seen some of that around here today. Tie in with the Library of Congress, which they provided us all of Jackson's archives in a microfilm form, which subsequently then we digitized, and it's now going to be put up on the web. Summer fellowships, which we have now working with Germany and with various schools around here. Crimes against humanity. For the last 6 years, we've had an international humanitarian law dialogues, which all the chief prosecutors have been here to pause and reflect on what's going on today. Make a connection with the Buffalo law firm, Phillips Lytle, which we did. Link with Chautauqua. Ever since you were here, we've done annual programs at Chautauqua, and one of them, or many of them, but one of them will be
you have one coming up this week.
Camp Carlin. Education, bring in students from the area, which we probably have about 5,000 people come through this during an annual basis. Teach them about the court system, Supreme Court, what is a judge, war crimes, New Deal, and we have an annual newsletter that goes out along those lines. Item 11, German government. I have a protocol agreement with the city of Nuremberg. So we exchange programming, we exchange scholars, and they have actually taken the courthouse and created a museum. And we were invited there for the dedication, ribbon cutting, and the speaking. It was unbelievable. Contact, Time Warner. Interestingly enough, Time Warner is going to probably donate a tremendous amount of a camera and film equipment to us shortly, within the next, hopefully, week. Alec Baldwin, we're still chasing him. He's said yes a couple times and then had to back out, so I'm here. Film footage from the trial. The Holocaust Museum were the ones that gave us did the digitization of all that 16mm film.
Sure.
And it happened, and as I told you on the way down, we've actually put this in place.
And the great thing is, once you digitize it, the cost of replication.
It's unbelievable.
If you think of the comparison, it's unbelievable.
Game changer. Fred Graham, you'd mentioned talk to Fred Graham. We did, and he put out on Court TV. He had a 12-hour Nuremberg, the longest and biggest one ever. Finally, we got to Fred, and he agreed for a very modest copying fee to give us all that. So that was our first real film archive, was Fred Graham, and that was you. The overlap of Holocaust and Nuremberg, which many situations, we're working with the Holocaust Museum and other organizations, and when we conclude today, you'll see downstairs the Holocaust Museum in Tennessee has on permanent loan here a wonderful montage of lithographs called The Perpetrators. Then your last point, which is the one nobody thought about until you brought it up, informed consent. That was established at Nuremberg. And since that time, we had twice had the president of the American Medical Association here to talk about the Nuremberg trial and informed consent. And we also had, after you were here, the only surviving prosecutor of the doctor's trial, Jack Robbins, was here. Not hyperbole, Mike, when I say that what we did here, and I gave you a little report card in 2003. I'm glad in 2012 to report a lot has happened, but because you may not remember, but we had a ring of board members around here, and I didn't know that, I'm sure you didn't know that we were going to interview you and transcribe your idle thoughts as you were, not idle, but as your brain was circulating, but much has happened.
Well, I'll tell you what I feel honored by is that 11 years later, I'm not embarrassed by what I wrote 11 years ago. That's really, you honor me. Thank you.
Well, you honor us, and I'm thrilled, and you've already given us a couple more ideas, and because we are a work in progress.
Yeah, no, every museum, every institution, it's a work in progress or it dies.
11 years later, give us some sage advice.
Well, I've been listening to sage remarks all the way through. Any museum, any exhibition is always something in the making. And what's clear is that a little bit of the direction in which this is going, which is it's not only a commemoration of the past and of a great justice, but also, and a great prosecutor, it's also going to have to deal with the wider issues, which is, in terms of American jurisprudence, the struggle for liberty and freedom and the rule of law, and in terms of the international community, the ongoing struggle to find a way to deal with the perpetrators of mass murder and death. And part of what you're doing is giving a home to these issues, and part of what we're seeing evolving here is a place that will represent the best of the spirit of Robert Jackson, not only in commemoration of the 20th century, but in order to move forward to the 21st century. And I would think that this place will not only celebrate the life of Robert Jackson, the achievements of Robert Jackson, but also the spirit of Robert Jackson going forward, because you always, part of what all museums do is they have a changing audience. Even if they have a stable exhibition, their audience changes. Consequently, the eyes that see a museum see it differently.
You're an amazing guy.
Thank you.
Did you ever say that to you?
Thank you.